Hey guys, how you doing? I'm Matt Gear and you're watching Beginner's Guitar Lessons on Matt Gear TV. Today I've got a new chord progression to show you guys. This chord progression's got one new thing for you to try, and that's a bar chord. I've put a lesson up on bar chords already, so if you're not sure about that yet, do go and check that video out. But if you are happy with bar chords, let's get into this chord progression and have a look how it goes. So we've got four chords that we're going to be playing. There's a D minor, an F major, a G major and a C. Now we've seen most of those chords before. We've seen the G, we've seen the D minor before and the C. What we've not seen before is the F, and that's the bar chord shape. And you'll also note that it's possible to play the G chord with a bar chord as well, rather than the open chord that you've been used to possibly. So this is how the chord progression goes. Let's have a look at that a little bit closer up so you can see the chords that I'm playing and how I'm playing it. So the first chord that we're playing is D minor. And I think I've shown you that on a previous lesson before, but just in case you've not seen that, this is how it goes. So, first of all, D string we play open. Next string up, we're fretting on the second fret. So that's the G string fretted with the middle finger on the second fret. B string we're fretting with the ring finger on the third fret, and then the high E string we're fretting on the first fret with the first finger. So that's the chord. Now you'll have noticed from the chord progression as I played it that I was embellishing it a little bit by playing a hammer on to start off with. So it wasn't just playing the chord straight. To get a little bit more movement into it, I was hammering on. So all I was doing there is basically strumming, first of all, the high E string open, and then hammering on my finger on the first fret. If you're interested, that is a chord as well, and that is called a D sus2. So that means there's no third present in that chord, so it's neither major nor minor. It's basically said to be suspended because there's no third. And actually, that is the second note of the D scale, and so it's a sus2. So the next chord that we're going to play is an F, and that's probably the one that will cause you the most difficulty to start off with, but do be patient and do stick with it, because this is the bar chord using the E major shape but moved up one whole fret, using the first finger there as a bar. Now I've mentioned before about some chords, when you change from one to the other, a note is kept between the two, or a note is shared between the two chords. And what that means is when you're changing chord position, rather than having to move all of your fingers to a new fret, new position, one of them can stay where it is, and you can kind of use that as an anchor to move the other fingers around. It does make it a bit easier. So actually when we're going from the D minor to the F, the middle finger still stays on the second fret of the D string, the G string. So when we move from the D minor chord to the F chord, the middle finger is staying on the second fret of the G string for both chords. So what that means is you can pivot around that to go from D here, and then the other fingers drop in around that to give you your F major bar chord shape there. So when you're practicing that, do it really slowly to start off with. D chord, D minor, lift all the fingers up apart from the middle finger, and then create that bar shape for the F major. And just do that going backwards and forwards. Now, The next chord is a G. Now we've seen G played this way in the open position, so 3rd fret, 2nd fret, open string, 3rd fret, 3rd fret. But you can also play it this way as a bar chord. So it's the same shape as the F bar chord, but we're just going to move it up 1, 2 frets. That's now a G. So the first part of the chord progression goes like this then. Okay, so the second time through, what we're going to play is, rather than going from the D minor to the F, we're going to go from the D to the G. And then finish on the C major chord in the open position. So when you're playing this chord progression, one thing to think about is how you're actually going to be using it in real life, because it's not a chord progression to play just for the sake of it. All the things that you're doing musically, you want to think about building up to perform as a song or a performance piece that people are going to be listening to. And one of the things that you need to think about is how you can make that interesting for them to listen to. One of the ways to do that is to start adding variety to the way that you play. Now, particularly with the chord voicings that you play. Now, so far we've seen two different ways of playing a G major chord. We've got this, which is the open shape, and this, which is the bar shape. And they're both G chords, but they do sound slightly different. So one way to add a bit of interest, if you were playing this as a song or as something to jam, for people to jam over, is to actually alternate each time round which one of those shapes that you use for the G chord. So something like this. So what you hopefully notice is that each time round I played the both G chords in the sequence a different way. So first time round, bar chord, then open, then bar chord, then open. And what that does is it just makes it slightly more different. So rather than the listener hearing the same thing again and again, they're hearing something different. One final thing to mention is the chord change between the G major, using the bar shape, and the C major chord. In the same way that from the D minor to the F there's a finger to pivot around, although the shape is moving, this ring finger is staying on the A string. So from this position, if we look at it up close, I take all my other fingers off, ring finger slides down to the 3rd fret and then makes the C shape. Although it's not staying in exactly the same position, it is staying on the same string. So what you can find is you can actually pivot around that finger as you're changing chord shape. In the same way as with the other chord progressions, once you've got the chords under your finger, practice change between one and the other, backwards and forwards, and then add the next chord on, and then just try and build up the chords into your own progression and try and do something creative with it, writing your own song or your own chord progression using those 4 chords. So, I hope you've enjoyed that. I've been Matt Gear and this has been Matt Gear TV. Do check back soon because I've got lots more cool lessons coming up, and make sure you subscribe as well. You guys take it easy and I'll see you next time. Cheers.